Have you ever wished life came with a spiritual map? Something to help you understand why things happen, what your purpose really is, and how to move through challenges with some more peace? Well, today's guest, Sue Johnson-Hewitt, has spent over 40 years exploring these questions, and her wisdom will bring a whole new perspective to your own journey. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny Show, where we explore spiritual wisdom, healing, and transformation to help you take charge of your destiny. I'm Ray Cownan, founder of Radiant Angel Energy and a spiritual guide and healer, helping you reconnect with your divine presence and create a life of purpose and fulfillment through angelic Reiki, guided meditations, and intuitive journeys across past, present, and future lives. Now, the meaning of angel is messenger and destiny means to make, firm, establish. So each week, my guests and I bring you messages to help you ground divine wisdom into your everyday life. And in today's episode, I'm joined by Sue Johnson-Hewitt, a spiritual guide, author, holistic therapist, and funeral celebrant who has spent over 4 decades supporting others through healing, self-discovery, and spiritual understanding. Sue's book, Why is the Question, explores some of life's biggest questions, from why we face challenges to what truly happens when we transition beyond this life. Now, her gentle, grounded wisdom has helped so many people find clarity in difficult times. And today she'll be sharing insights on spiritual philosophy, life beyond death, earthbound souls, and how small daily choices shape the energy we carry and the relationships we build. So without further delay, hello, Sue, and a warm welcome to the Angels and Destiny Show. How are you today?
Hello, Ray. I'm really, really good. And thank you for having me. It's a real honour and pleasure to be here. So thank you.
You are welcome. And of course, to everyone watching, whether you're joining us live or catching the replay, we'd love you to be part of this conversation. So please let us know in the comments what resonates, share your questions, or tell us about your own experiences with spiritual awakening, or even just say hello so we know that you're here. And please don't be shy. And Jodie Claire says hello.
Hi, Jodie.
So, Sue, why don't you start by sharing a little about your spiritual journey and how this path of wisdom unfolded for you and how we can walk with spirit?
Okay, so I first of all got into the spiritual side of things when I was 22. And I didn't know anything about spiritual aspects at all. And then someone from where I used to work, my son was 6 months old, and someone's auntie was a medium, and they said, "Would you like to come to a séance?" So I said, "Yeah, okay." I didn't know what it was, so off I went. She was a funny lady, to be honest, but she was, yeah. But anyway, I think I was acting a little bit dippy as well. But anyway, she came to me and she said, "You're obsessed with teething, aren't you, dear?" And my son was a really good sleeper. He wasn't any problem, and he was waking up at night. And she said, "It's not teething. It's he's got an ear infection." And I went, "Oh." And she said a few other things as well to me, but that's what stood out because when I went to Bath David the next day, he pulled away with his ear. And I thought, oh, so I went to the doctors. He had an ear infection. So obviously this intrigued me. So I booked to have a reading with someone. This is in London. And she was very good. I come out of there thinking, oh my God, you can't have any secrets. But it got me thinking. So I ended up going to the Spiritualist Church. So I went along thinking I'd get a message like you do and sitting there waiting. Week after week, I didn't get a message. And after about 6 weeks, the reading and the address that was being given at these services, because they're not like the normal church services, was really resonating with me. It was common sense stuff, and it was like unlocking a key. It was like I knew what they were talking about. And I was very fortunate. I was the youngest there. I was only 22, and there was a lot of older people, and they lent me all these books to read, all about trance mediumship and all sorts of things. And one particular book was White Eagle, who's a guide. He's probably not known so much these days, but he has a very simple approach. It was very much about God and Jesus and things like that. But his teachings was so beautiful, down to earth, very simple to understand. So I found I got a lot of inspiration from those books from White Eagle. So I found I was enjoying more about the philosophy side rather than the mediumship side. I mean, most of us know the foundations of spiritual philosophy, but knowing one thing, it's using that wisdom is another, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
having a gym membership and never going, or a cupboard full of healthy food but still reaching for the biscuits. We have wisdom inside us, but when life gets heavy, we often forget to draw on it. And also with mediumship, mediumship is great because it proves life after death, but what then? Everybody goes to spiritualist churches. I notice over the years, over all the 40 years I've been in this, still wanting a message, still expecting it to get from Aunt Jean, and you're going to get your red car or your blue curtains or whatever. But that's not really what it's about. It is, the mediumship is there to prove life after death. That's really all you should need. After that, it's the philosophy side. That's what helps you in your daily life. And I think the foundation is very, very important. We have moved along. I know we've got far more knowledge than probably what we had 50 years ago. We've got all the different dimensions, etc. I know. But I like to keep everything very, very simple because it's the foundation that helps you when things really get challenging, when things are tough. Okay. I mean, the fifth dimension, the sixth, seventh dimension, you'll get there. To be honest, it'll happen naturally anyway. But I think people forget the basics, I think. Also, with mediumship, I'm just going to quickly say, is mediumship isn't a gift. Everyone can do it. Everyone has that natural ability. It gets complicated for some reason. I didn't become a medium for a lot of years, and I understand why, because I wasn't meant to go on the platform. I realised that, or go out. I meant to teach it. Because I struggled, I know how hard it is until I realised how easy it is. So, because people are searching and looking in the wrong way, because all it is thoughts in your head. You have to remember, when you go over it, it's telepathic. You don't have a voice box. So that's the way they're communicating, is your thoughts. Once you understand that it isn't your thoughts, because a lot of people bat everything out, oh, it's my imagination. And I say, they need your imagination. You can't have a blank mind for them to work with. So when you're thinking of your granddad and you think, oh, why am I thinking granddad? It's because it's their granddad. I mean, I remember when I was doing one of my workshops, a lady was describing as remote viewing, where you go into the home of the person's spirit. And they would say, oh, I'm just describing my nan's house. And the other person said, yeah, but that was my nan's house as well. So people expect it to be harder than what it is. They will use it in a way that simplifies it for you. I think the hardest thing with mediumship is interpretation, because it can mean different. If you can see a train, does that mean they went commuting on a train? Were they a train driver? Were they a ticket man on there? Did they have a cafe on the train? Did they commute by train? Sometimes it's very hard to actually interpret what they're trying to say. So mediumship, it's not a gift. Everybody has that ability. Everybody. And you don't have to be on the platform to want to develop this. It's to enable you to communicate yourself. I've learned myself to talk to my own guides, my own family, and then you get your answers that you need as well. You don't need outsiders. You don't need a medium to tell you messages if you can actually make that connection yourself. So that's why when you develop mediumship, it's not about getting out there giving readings. It's about for you. So you can actually get the answers yourself without an outside source. It's lovely to have a reading, don't get me wrong. It's all nice to have a message from our loved ones, etc. But I can honestly say, hand on heart, I don't get that many messages at all, because I don't actually feel the need to have it. The only message I had that actually proved something was really spot on when I first moved to Bournemouth, and I'd gone to this church. This lady came on and she just said, I've got your granddad here. And I went, okay. I must admit, I do have a high standard, okay. And she said, no, he's linking to a lady on earth. I went, no, my nan's in spirit. She went, hold on. She said, he's got a sister. I went, oh, yeah, he has actually. Now, I don't know the sister. She came to my wedding. That was the only time I ever met her. And she said, can you please send his love to her? So I thought, oh, okay. Anyway, I sat on it for a couple of weeks. I thought, you were giving it, you must pass it on. So I found out the address, wrote the letter. She wrote back very promptly saying, I'm not into the weird stuff, but it's not me your granddad's referring to. It's his cousin who literally lives around the corner from me. No, I didn't know I had any family here in Bournemouth. I went round there and she was in need. So to me, that was constructive. That wasn't just saying do you know what I mean? It was something that was meaningful. And and there I found out my granddad sat in a circle, went into trance, and a little girl talked through him from this lady because she was into spiritual. He obviously didn't tell me any of this because they didn't talk about all that in those days. And I was like, oh my God. So that's probably the biggest message that I've had that actually meant something, really, really did. So for me, the mediumship is great, but on the whole, it's the philosophy. And the philosophy to me is so important because that's what helps you in your daily life. It gives you answers as to why things have happened. It gave me self-confidence big time. In my marriage, I got self-belief. It gave me the strength to get a divorce. My ex-husband did blame the spiritual stuff on the divorce, and he's right, because he thought it was some cult, to be honest. But it wasn't that. It was more that I had self-belief and self-worth about myself. And the philosophy is what taught me that. It taught me to learn to say no as well, which is a very big thing. And it's a lot of my workshops when I do my philosophy ones is teaching people to say no. It's okay to say no and to think of yourself. It's not being selfish like we've been brought up. Stop being thoughtless. Don't be so selfish. We have to try and undo all that because until you think of yourself, how are you going to help other people? You have to love you. You is so important. It really, really is so important. And so I'm just going to go through the basics a little bit. Majority know all this, okay, but I'm still going to say it all just to reinforce it all because I think sometimes people forget the foundation. So I want to start off saying and explain that, like, when we're sleeping, we astral travel. Okay, so you've got a body that's exactly the same as you, but it's an etheric body. It's made of a finer substance and it's attached to your physical body by a silver cord. So when you're asleep, you slip out of your body and you can go anywhere in the universe. You can go see spirit, loved ones, other planets, serve. Some people just sit in the front room. It doesn't matter. You know that feeling when you feel like you've stepped off a curb and you've jolted? That is when you've come back into your body really quickly because something's disturbed you. As you've become lifting up out of your body, maybe a lorry's gone rumbling by or something. You've gone, oh, and you've quickly gone back into your body. And that's when you feel that jolt as if you're stepping off a pavement or whatever. But then you'll start rising out of your body again. So you can go anywhere you want. Obviously, we don't remember this, to be honest, because we probably won't want to come back. Because you can obviously nip home as well. That's basically what you're doing. And seeing loved ones. So when your time is to die, when you pass over, the silver cord snaps. And your etheric body, the same as your body, your physical body, starts disintegrating. So you're left then with a thing called astral body, which is again made of a finer substance. And this is what goes into the light permanently. Now, when we go over, the way it was described to me is it's a bit like a big office block or department store. And you've got hundreds of floors. They're never ending. When you look up, never stops. And you've got your little departments. So the first level is an echo of Earth. You can actually hear it. And people that still need that reassurance, that connection with Earth, if you want to have a drink, you can. If you want to eat, you can. As long as you've tasted these things, because it's all in your mind. This is what you're projecting. If you're playing darts, you'll win, because that's the intent. You play snooker, you'll win. It gets a bit boring, obviously. Everything, as you intend it, will happen. So obviously most of us probably won't stay on this level. We'll just probably just go through. So you'll go on a level that's right for you, because if you go too high, the light will be too strong. We can nip up there, but we can't stay for too long. We can go lower, obviously, to help people as well. So when we look at these different departments, if you like, obviously you've got the halls of knowledge, all the wonderful things that we can learn from. You've got, you have, like, say you go into a room that's art, and that artist, you won't just see it, you become the art. You feel that emotion that that artist was put on that paper. You are at one with it. And the same with music. If you go into music, again, you can play yourself. I mean, probably most of us may have played instruments. We just don't particularly on this earth. I've got a thing for drumming continuously. I'll drum wherever I can. Obviously, it's something I do. But again, you won't just hear it. You'll become part of that music, of that composer. What that emotion that composer put into that music, you will become. You will feel it. Same with scientists. You know, that where do you think inventions come from? It's trickled down into our imagination. That's where ideas come from. If you think back over the years, there was things on telly like for rockets, and before they were even invented, you had the flip up phone from Star Trek. You know, we've had all that. So it's all been preparing us. It comes out in ideas. So the scientists are coming forward with different things to help us progress and move forward. Same with physics as well. Then you've got obviously your doctors and your healers and your surgeons. Again, another department, if you like. Again, where do you think our ideas come from? How we move forward with progression, how we learn, how look at all the operations now that we can do, the drugs that we have, the medication. I mean, I say to people, you know, when they're very anti-medication, I say, but we've been given that a knowledge for a reason. It works alongside complementary. It's not always instead of, because sometimes complementary isn't enough. Sometimes we do need that outside source, in moderation, of course. So we've been given that awareness, to have this medication to help us along our life on this journey. So, and obviously, there's probably meditation rooms, and there's probably loads of rooms that we actually can't even think about. We won't even contemplate. To be fair, do you know what I mean? It's probably out of our language. But obviously, you move up and up and up and up. Eventually, you'll want to add to your CV. So, because your soul wants to grow. Not you've got to take your human head out, and it's your soul that wants to grow. So your soul, unconditional love does not judge. You are the one that will assess your life and other lives. So you have to remember that we have hundreds of lifetimes. We can't learn everything in one lifetime. We've all done things. We've all done horrible things to get where we are. Probably raped or murdered, and or sat there when they've done the hung, torn and quartered with our sandwiches going, yeah, because that's normal. And now we see it as barbaric because we've evolved and moved forward. And obviously we don't remember these lies because we just beat ourselves up. Also, if you've done something to somebody else in the past life, that other person may think you're not coming near me again, and stopping the other person give back to that person, because our emotions, our human heads were getting in the way. So that's really a big part of, and also we wouldn't really cope if we realise of the things that we may have done as well. So it's like having the lessons, the answers for the test, basically. So unconditional love doesn't judge you. So you will assess your own lives. You will assess on what you want to learn. Your soul wants to learn. So you will pick your parents for any experiences they're going to give you, any restrictions, limitations, all the challenges that you may have. What country you're going to be born in, whether you're going to be rich or poor, whether you're going to be disabled. You are going to choose the lessons you need. Now, a lot of people go, well, I wouldn't have chosen this. That's your human head. That's not your soul talking. Now, Earth is a school. At the end of the day, that's why we're here, to learn. And Earth is limiting. That is what is, it's one of the hardest planets to be on. We grow so much on Earth. One medium told me, he was in trance, that our 70, say 80 years on Earth is equivalent, even though there's no time in spirit, to 600 years in spirit. We grow so much because of what we go through, the challenges, how we overcome it. Because what our limitations is emotions. We have fears, insecurities, anger, etc., etc. If we had unconditional love, which is what our goal is, we wouldn't feel any of those because we'll see beyond. We'd see the soul, we'd see what was going on. But that's why we're here on earth, to learn. And that's the goal, is unconditional love. The nearest you're going to get to that is your child. You would take that bullet for your child, not necessarily for your husband, your wife, or even your sister, brother, etc., mum and dad. Your child, most people would take that bullet. And you would, if they raped, murdered, you still visit them in prison. You may not like them, but you would still go. You would still forgive them. Again, you probably wouldn't do that for your husband or your wife, but you would your child. Now, if you million times that feeling for everyone, we have that connection. That is what our goal is. And the only way that we're going to learn is through experiences. How many times people say, oh, I know how you feel? And you go, no, you don't. You haven't done that. How would you know that? So we learn humility, understanding, compassionate. I mean, what I got from my guide, because I needed a heading for my website, was called FACE, Further Advancement in Compassion and Empathy. And that is what it is on Earth. So when people talk about conspiracy things, to me, it's all part of the limitations that we are experiencing on Earth. If you look through time, history, there's always been limitations. The poor always get poorer and the rich get richer. It's just a trend, it's a pattern that happens throughout the centuries. It may be coming a different way. We've had horrific things, the way people die with the lions and the Romans, and people stuck to sand up to their heads, and all sorts of things, horrible things, hangings and etc., etc. So when we have these things that we think are wrong as such, which I'm not saying that we don't fight or make a stand, I think sometimes we have to pick our fights or pick our arguments and realise things aren't going to change, because at the end of the day, Earth is a school. You're going to have limitations. That's what it's about. That's the challenges are there. Whether it's a war, COVID, look at the challenges that we have with that. That was already pre-planned. We chose that. When we come onto Earth in this lifetime, we knew that was part of our journey. It wasn't a surprise. The ripple effect from that was too vast. It was major. And it affected people in so many different ways. Some people lost loved ones, lost their jobs, health, etc., etc. But it gave people opportunities as well to come forward, help people, support people, or not, grabbing their toilet rolls, that sort of thing. But it's like war. It brings out different sides of people. We will have this in our lifetime. Of course we will. Because if we went back and we didn't have, we haven't learned anything, we wouldn't be impressed. Because when you're choosing your life, we probably get a little bit exuberant with it all. We thought, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and look at our lifetimes and think, right, I'm ready to do that one, I'm ready to do this. I'm probably a bit zealous with it. So, like when you go to university or college, you've got your tutors and you've got your lecturers, you've got your guides and you've got your angels who will guide you by gently saying, well, maybe take that one out and take that one out, because obviously if there's an overload, we'll commit suicide. Defeats the object. So again, you're not allowed to choose too much that you can't cope with. Okay, so again, if there has to be a rule, which I don't think in spiritual aspects in any way, it's personal responsibility, because you have chosen your life. And I think so many people forget this. They forget the environment that they're in, the restrictions that are around us. I think people forget that they're put there for a reason, for us to overcome, to recognise the challenges, and turn it around into something positive if you can. Because in every situation, there's always a positive. Always. What you do with the lessons that you learn, how you utilize that knowledge. When we have so many things happen to us, and all of us do, all of us probably got a childhood story. My mum is an alcoholic. She's been sober 40 years. My dad was quite controlling. It was all different aspects. But he did teach me how to listen. He taught me how to solve problems. And again, it's helped me as a therapist. He taught me a lot. Again, with the alcoholism, my mum, I may have well been an alcoholic in a previous life. So the roles are reversed. So I have a deeper understanding of what it's like to be on the other side of that. It's what you do with that knowledge. It's what you do. You have so many tools under your belt. People don't realise when they go through all these things, what are you going to do with all those tools? When something horrible happens, how can you turn it around to something, maybe a support group in some way? If something awful, whether, it's rape, murder, etc. I'm not minimalising this at all. But what I'm saying is that if you could also be healing by helping others in the same situation, and you have that mutual understanding, even though not initially, but maybe later, you can turn it around so it's not a wasted journey in that sense. It's what we do with it. And from our childhood, we can grow bitter and twisted, or you can utilize it and turn it around to help people. It makes you, it's what's part of you. So, and I just think people forget a little bit that we've chosen this pathway, so we can all be and getting angry with conspiracy theories, etc. But it's what we've chosen. I just want to read something. There's there is a few probably different aspects of this out there, but I've rewritten this, and I just want to read it. It's called the Pre-Incarnation Pact. A singular soul ready to embark upon a human life arrives at the chamber of incarnation in the great hall where countless other souls waited, each manifesting as a shimmering sphere of blue-white light. When its turn came, the soul declared, "I am prepared for my journey. I have great work to do and vital lessons to master. To begin, I shall need a core of unconditional support. Who among you will be my family and loving friends, the ones who will nurture and sustain me?" A joyful group of light immediately moved forward. We volunteer for this task, as giving kindness and love is the simplest task of all. We will be your king and companions on earth. The soul nodded and posed its second need. I shall need required teachers, those with wisdom to guide me to correct my errors and to instill discipline. Who will shoulder this duty of instruction? A more ancient measured group of lights gathered. We recognise your spirit. We have walked many paths alongside you and know your potential. We will assume the duty of being your mentors and guides. Finally, the soul paused, its light flickering with apprehension as it spoke of the hardest lessons. If I am to learn the greatest truths, humility, patience under relentless stress, and love for those who despise me, I must have enemies. Who will provide the test of hatred, abuse, and betrayal? The void fell silent. No light stirred. The task was acknowledged as difficult, too heavy for most. And at last, from the very core of the assembly, a small, luminous group moved forward, their brilliance and resolve utterly unwavering. We are your soul group. We have cherished you across countless ages, and your growth is as dear to us as our own. This is the most difficult and delicate of tasks, for it is a role that will inflict the greatest pain upon you. Therefore, it must be performed only by the ones who love you absolutely, who will be your enemies on earth. So, everyone is each other's teachers. If you were on an island, you wouldn't learn very much. If you were on your own, you'd learn to fish and build yourself a little hut, and that'd be it, really, and meditate. So, which is great, yeah. But you certainly won't have any challenges, nobody pushing your buttons to push you to overcome things. We have a choice in how we react. This is and to be fair, it does come with age. To be fair, it does. As we get older, we get a little bit wiser, and it is very, very true. Um, but we do need each other to grow. We need that. And also, when we are assessing our lives, we're looking at things that maybe we call it karma, but it's growth, really. Um, but we also have to be aware that in this lifetime, it's not just the big things that we're making karma with. What you put out, you get back, basically. Um, one time, I will admit, not put myself in a good light. Um, I was actually doing a workshop, and all of a sudden, this memory came into my head. Um, I used to have a shop, and then I moved to home, and I had a summer house, but my cabin, and that's where I'm a reflexologist. So I did my reflexology out there. As soon as I put the cabin up there, dogs appeared either side of me, barking. It was a nightmare. And I had it for 10 years. I was doing this workshop, and all of a sudden, this memory came into my head. And it wasn't very nice, really, of me. It came in, and I had this neighbour, and she always seems a bit poorly, I suppose. And anyway, I was playing some music, and it was going out into the garden from my dining room. And she came round. I was in my 20s, late 20s, and she came round, knocked on the door, and said, "I've got a bit of a headache." I said, "Have you? Do you want some paracetamol?" I was really bad. So I was sharing, but I cringed when I remembered this. I was like, "Oh my god, did I really do that?" And I realised after that as well that the kids are out there playing and screaming. I tried to keep the noise down a bit, but they would have been playing. They had swings and things like that. So to be fair, it was probably quite noisy for this neighbour. So I understood then why I had 10 years of barking dogs by the side of me. We don't always relate things. And that weekend, funny enough, I think it was a double whammy for me to remember. But there was a lady who was having problems with her neighbours, and she was antagonising. And I told her this. I said, "You must stop, because you're making the situation worse." So it was given to me for both aspects, really. Um, so it's having an awareness. Like, I mean, what was it? My son, actually, it's little things. My son David worked at Harry Ramsden's, a fish and chip shop, Saturday or weekend. And when he started, he said, "Oh yeah, Mum, you can come down and have a free meal and all that lot." So I thought, "Oh great!" So we all went down and we had that. I'm vegetarian, but everybody else had it. And so that was that. And then my other son did it. Now my other son is great. He did physics and astrophysics. Not into any of this. So things I go to him, it's actually quite good to bounce off him sometimes, because he comes back with quite, yeah. You think, "Oh, actually, you got a point there." Anyway, I said to him when he joined, "Well, aren't you going to do the same as your brother?" He went, "Yeah, that's all right, Mum. I'll create karma." And it was like boom, and I went, "Oh my god!" Because in fact, we were stealing, because the managers of higher up weren't going to say, "Yeah, bring all your family in and have a free meal." It was the ones that were 20s, right? Their mates saying, "Yeah, it's all right." So we don't realise that we are still taking. That's not really rightfully ours. It's a bit like when we used to go, when the pub, I know I did, when your glass wasn't quite empty and you were kicked out, you'd sneak it under your coat and take it out with you. You're nicking the glass. It's not yours. You wouldn't pick up in a restaurant if you haven't finished eating your plate and your knife and fork and walk out with it, would you? But so it's a little. I mean, also there was another thing. I remember that I was doing I had a business, an Egyptian business, and I used to book the flights and everything. So what happened was I got into Primark and I bought two t-shirts for my husband for work, and they were 99p or 1.99 or something. I queued up the long queue, which I'm not very patient at. Gets to the counter, I thought, "I've got the wrong t-shirt." I thought, "Oh." And the one I had was 99p instead of the 1.99. And I thought, I can't face queuing up again. So I swapped it. So I stole £1, basically. And I knew I was wrong. I was going, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. Anyway, that couple of days later, I had to book flights. I booked a holiday for me and Andy and flights for these two ladies to go to Egypt. So I booked it. I booked these 2 flights that were £1,000. And as soon as I'd done it online, I'd given the wrong dates. I'd given the dates for my holiday. And you couldn't change it when it's online then. Definitely couldn't change it. And I was like, oh my God, because I wouldn't spend £1,000 on the flights. And I was like, I knew, because that pound became 1,000. Okay, it wasn't the end of the world, because obviously it was a holiday still. But what I knew instantly, because it came back very quickly, I thought, so I did go back into Primark and I put £1 on the counter. I went, there you go. They just looked at me. I was going, oh God. It seems a silly little thing, but it is being mindful of the little things that we do without realising. We really, really don't realise what we're doing. Also, brings me really about communication as well, because communication is so important on how we express ourselves. When we speak about love, support, or with anger or frustration, each word we say affects us and the people around us. Our words are literally vibrations that feed our bodies. So that brings me a little bit about the competition about illness, because you'll get someone say, oh yeah, my back's really hurt. Oh God, it's something like mine. Oh yeah, my knee hurts, and blah, blah, blah. So we carry our illnesses around like a handbag, right? So we're competing. Well, I'm worse than you and I'm worse than you. But what we're doing when we're doing that is affirming it. You're reaffirming all the time. When we get into those, a lot of old people do it. We know that. But what they're doing is they're affirming all the time. We're unconsciously programming ourselves for it to carry on. So, and we associate ourselves with, my back, my dodgy knee. It doesn't promote healing. Also, I used to say, and I'm not saying this universe, I used to say I hate walking. All my family love walking. I'm a nightmare. If the car can be right up to the door, it will be. If I see a space nearer and I've parked further back, I'll go, oh God, we could have parked there. I'm a nightmare. I still like it, really. So I kept saying, I don't like walking. I hate walking. And then this image came into my head. My nan, in spirit, put it in my head, of me being wheeled on to a stage. I don't know why that was, in a wheelchair. And she said, well, you said you don't like walking. And straight away, oh my God, I'm affirming this. And to be honest, I was having problems with my knee, and I've had a knee replacement. I ended up, I couldn't actually walk around the block. So we have to be careful of what we're saying. We don't realise what we're affirming all the time. So, and I'm not saying that we don't share when we've got something wrong with us, because we don't want to keep things inside of us as well. Because obviously we need to communicate. That's very important. Because if we don't communicate, or the body reflects you as well, what you're feeling, your emotion, the body will reflect you. A bit like the knee, you can be stubborn, unbending in personality, etc. It's all sorts of things, okay? Hearing, again, actually my son used to suffer with ear infections. And when I eventually looked this up, it was parents arguing. And I didn't realise that he'd heard me and my ex-husband arguing. And one night he woke up with it. And I said, did you hear me and Daddy? And he went, yeah, I did. As soon as I divorced Graham, and even to this day, he's never had an ear infection. So the body is constantly, obviously, listening. So you might be silent here, but your body isn't. Your body's reflecting you all the time. So again, with Louise Hay, etc., you can understand what your body is trying to say all the time. And again, look at yourselves and look about it. And also, when I say about responsibility, it's a bit, my relationship with my dad wasn't particularly great. And I didn't actually bother with him too much. I used to go and visit him twice a year, etc. And it got to a point where he wasn't being very nice to me. And I remember coming home from a visit and crying. But then I started looking at this and I thought, I can change this. It has to be down to me. If you want to change it, do something about it. So I decided to go and see my dad a lot more often, which I did. And then one time when I came back, we'd been out for lunch, my stepmom was watching Loose Women, and he was looking at her to turn it off because we have a guest, turn the telly off. And I sort of said, oh, it's all right, Dad, doesn't matter. Anyway, but what memory I got at that instant was every time I went down and saw my dad, because I never got newspapers. There was other people there, my sister and my kids, and so it wasn't just me. When we did Christmas and birthdays, I'd pick the newspaper up and start reading it. And I thought, what message was I giving my dad? It wasn't intentionally, but I thought, you haven't helped matters on this at all. So again, sometimes we have to look at our own actions in relationships that might not be working very well, how we might be feeding it. Take your pride out and take your ego out. And sometimes look at it, stand back and look and think, okay, how can I change this? That's what's important, because unfortunately we're so busy. Well, you did this and, and you said that and I wouldn't have done that if we're very good at blaming, other people for our reactions. And that's what you have the power over. You have total control over your reactions. It's so important. It's difficult because, as I say, it does come with age, I'll be honest, because when you're young, look at me with being rude to that neighbour, really, to be fair. I mean, I look at it and think, oh my God, how could I have done that? And there's loads of other things as well. Also, when you speak, I mean, when I say my prayers or I connect with spirit, I always, in the mornings, I go through all my guides and family, etc. I say it. I don't just say it in my head, I voice it. I do it in the loo, to be honest, because that's the only time before I start my day, because I'll never, and I have lodgers, so I have to tell them that I'm, if you hear me, I'm not going mad. It's just because I'm doing this, because I'll chat away. And when you're doing it, it's like a form of meditation in a way, because that's when I get answers. Or an idea will come into my head. And I go, oh my God, yeah, thank you, Bunny Boy. That's amazing. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Again, this is where mediumship can really help you connect because when you're in a circle, you get that feedback. So you then trust what you're getting. It takes time, because if you try and do it on your own, you're not going to believe it. You'll just say, oh, it's in my head. But if you do it on a regular basis and the person can take what you're saying, you'll trust that the thoughts you're getting is from them. It is telepathic. And as I say, everybody can do it. Everybody. All it is confidence and believing what you're getting. It's not hard at all. You don't have to meditate to connect to spirit. I don't meditate at all. It helps. It's good for you. Of course it is. But I don't meditate to do it. You can just do it. You can just connect, But obviously it's good for you, for mentally and spiritually, to do so.
Yeah. And I suppose it also is, for some people, it's like an anchor for them. It's like, okay, if I go into meditation now, that is my signal to take the outside world out, and
Yes.
I can now connect.
Yes, and that's what I do in the morning when I'm talking to one. That's my form of meditation, because there's different forms of it,
Yeah.
So it's how you find it your own way. So also, what I do as well is I guide souls into the light, and again, when people guide them, when they say, "Oh, go into the light," there's no point doing that, because they would have gone into the light if that was the case. So you have to find out why the person hasn't gone into the light. The first person I actually did was one of my friends, because what they do is when they're moving stuff in the house, they're trying to get your attention. So my friend said, I've got all this stuff, it's annoying me, things keep being moved, I can't find stuff, etc. So I did go around, and it was a lady, she'd been over for quite a while. I think she'd been over about 90 years, quite a long time. She was in her 70s, and she'd murdered her husband. And I said, how did you do that? And she did it with arsenic. Was it arsenic? I've forgotten. It was some solvent
Yeah.
painted that he could breathe in. He used to beat her up. She miscarried for the beatings. He cheated. He did all sorts of things to her. And when you do this, also, you can't have any judgment, because as soon as you do, that soul's not going to talk to you, because she was frightened of seeing him again. That was the thing. So I reassured him that there's no way you will see him, only if you choose to. As all, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons. There was a lady who she stuffed all her animals um, when they died, and she thought she'd held them back. She thought they'd have their souls back, so she didn't want to go into the light, bless her. So again, reassured her and said to her, they're there waiting for you, so don't worry. Some people, they don't want to tell you initially because they feel too guilty. And you have to really coax them. And when it's something they really won't tell me, what I do say to them is, don't ask me how I know, but Hitler's reborn. I don't know how I know this, but I do. And he's in a family. It's okay. It's, not rich, not particularly poor, mediocre. I think he's got a weak leg. So what I say to them is, right, because they can go anywhere they want on earth. I say, right, Hitler's reborn. Go where he is now. Go to where he is. They go, come back. I said, now tell me what you've done, because it's nothing like he's done. And then they open up. I mean, there was two sisters. One waited for the other sister to die, because when they were young, they had a little brother, and they played hide and seek. And the brother got into a chest and shut the lid down. And the two girls went off, gave up searching for him. Of course, he passed. He died. And they didn't tell the parents. And they were frightened of meeting the parents. So I said, it was good that you didn't tell the parents, because let them enjoy you. You didn't do anything wrong, but they would have had to live with that ifs and buts, if only you'd come to us, if only you said, by not telling them, you took that away. Let them enjoy you having you two without having that added pain to the grief of losing their son. So eventually, obviously, the parents came and got them. Obviously, bless them, I have put a paedophile into the light. Again, when you do this, you don't have to be in the same room. I know the televisions are all, it's all, because it's all got to be hyped up and etc. But you don't have to be in the room, because you think of them, spirits by the side of you. They can go anywhere. So you don't actually have to be in that house at all. I don't go to the house. I can just mentally straight away connect to them. And there was a paedophile. He was obviously distraught. This young boy was struggling at night. He kept saying my uncle and things like that. I never told the family that it was a paedophile, to be quite honest. Anyway, it was hard work getting him into the light, because obviously he felt really ashamed. He was ashamed to see his dad because of what he was. He went to that house because there was children in it. Eventually he did go, after talking again with Hitler and things like that, getting him to see that, I promise you, unconditional love doesn't judge you. You'll get healing, etc. And also, when they go into the light, they'll see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So they'll have an understanding of why certain things have happened, or why they did certain things. And apparently there was a cupboard that really stunk. I don't quite know what that was, I'll be honest. I don't know if he was in there. But anyway, when he went, the smell went. And obviously the boy was great. He was fine after that. So, again, you can't have any judgment, because you're helping those on earth as well as them. You just can't afford to. I mean, there was also another lady, bless her, who was very religious. And her nan was begging her to help her die. And so in the end, she did. She smothered her with a pillow. What unconditional love was that? Because she wouldn't go in the light because of retribution. She knew when she did it that she was going against everything she stood for, but her love for her nan, because she was in pain, she wanted to help her. That's unconditional love. Do you know what I mean? So, again, talking her through it, etc. He got a man, he treated his wife badly, he beat her. There was a pattern that his dad did the same to his mum. He couldn't face his wife. I did explain that if she did meet him, it would be with forgiveness in her heart. I mean, his dad actually came and got him. A lady, she was in 1923, actually quite a while. She killed her baby. She couldn't cope. She was put into an institution where she died, and she was too ashamed to go into the light. and didn't want to see the baby because of what she'd done. During her pregnancy, she did not have any support from her husband. She had high blood pressure, had to rest all the way through the pregnancy. She was so tired. Obviously, now we know it's postnatal depression,
Yeah.
especially when you have tiredness through pregnancy. So, poor love, that's what she had. You know, again, obviously, she went into the light. After this is why you need to talk things through with them, so they have a deeper. And I explain it all to them that it will be okay, it will be fine. I mean, another lady killed a man because he strung her along. Really, she got pregnant, miscarried. Told her he loved her, but he didn't. He started seeing someone else. She was just so full of anger and rage. She killed him with a knife. She was only 25 years old. She did go to prison, and she did when she came out. She did remarry and that, but she thought she'd go to hell. So again, talking, and it was her mum and her husband who came and got her from that. There's so many different reasons why people don't go into the light. If it,
And is there anyone who doesn't go because they just enjoy still being here on Earth?
most people, how would you, if people can't see you and you can't touch you, it's not enjoyable. It's a nightmare. It's not a pleasant thing because no one can see you and you're alone. So it's not an enjoyable thing at all. There is other negative aspects, but I won't go into that.
No.
But that's through the choice of that. But majority, they don't go in the light because they're frightened because of guilt, or seeing the person that was a perpetrator. There was a little boy who I think he was sexually abused, etc. He was frightened if he go in the light, it might happen to him again.
Mm.
In his head, what am I going into? And that was a child. So again, reassurance, talking them through, promising them that it will be okay. I promise, I promise, promise. So
Yeah.
I do feel quite passionate about it, really, because there's millions and millions of souls. And I do get a little bit cross when people, they don't put them in the light. They
Mm.
use it as it's like a entertainment.
Oh
And
yes, we know all about those programs, and yes,
I just think it's those.
don't agree with it. To me, you give that person the choice.
It's sad because it's like a zoo. Do you know what I mean? You use them as entertainment. When
Yeah.
people are moving stuff around, they're trying to get your attention. They're asking for help. That's why they're doing it. And I often find that because they'll know people will tell me, that's when they'll start moving things in that person's house because they'll go, Sue, I'll go, right, okay, I'll connect and find out what's going on and talk to them and everything else. To be honest, I should write them all down, the different stories, but I've done so many and I've forgotten half of them. Bless
Can
them.
you can you imagine the book that would have?
Yeah,
So
I should have written them down really. So
I well,
yes,
well
yeah.
they're recorded now, so you've got no excuse now to go
Yeah,
and write a
yeah,
book.
those two ones. What I will say, if you don't mind, what I will say though, because obviously I'm a funeral celebrant as well, and I obviously have put sometimes the soul into the light as well for whatever reason they haven't gone into the light. But what I'd like to say, if possible, is because we have a lot of direct cremations now, which I totally understand is cheaper, and some people don't have a lot of people, etc. But the when we have a funeral, it's for the living, not for the dead. Obviously, the dead is fine, and it gives us closure. Taking that away is very difficult for a lot of people. So it's trying to get this out there that that's okay. Have a direct cremation, but have a wake and have a celebrant at the wake, because it can be an afternoon tea, it can be in the garden, it could be at a pub. The celebrant can still tell that person's life story. It's so important. I mean, when you don't have that, there'll be people in their little groups talking. No one's sharing the stories. You've got the grandkids in the corner with their Coke and crisps. They're not hearing about their nan and granddad. Times I've heard, oh, I didn't know that about them. It's getting lost, and it's our culture. And some people are so bereft because they can't say goodbye. And some people would like to say something, and it's taken away. It's just goomph. I mean, I remember being at Bournemouth crematorium, and this woman turned up. The coffin was there, and she kissed. She said, "Bye, Mum." Kissed the coffin and took a photo of the coffin. How awful! Do you know what I mean? I just like. I understand why it's happening, and this is my concern, because it's going. People are buying plans now for direct cremations. So, and in the end, you're going to probably book it online. It's going to be that easy. The personal touch is just going to go out the window. So I just like to put it out there. Please, please, think of the people that are left behind, so they get a chance to say goodbye or hear the life story of that person, because everyone has got some lovely things about their lives, all their achievements, what they've done, and it's nice to share that. It's all right for the person to say, no, don't waste your money, they're dead, it won't matter. So they're not thinking about the people that are left behind. One of my clients, bless her, she couldn't. She knew this friend for. She was in her 870. She'd known since she was about 10, and the husband did a direct cremation. She didn't get a chance to say goodbye. She was in a right state because she said, I don't know what to do because I haven't said goodbye. So it was taken away, really. Do you know what I mean? So if you do it, please have a little wake with a celebrant. You can look them up. Oh, there's me. But you can look them up because there's celebrants out there. You don't need a funeral director to guide you to a celebrant. Okay, you can ask for any celebrant when you have a funeral. Okay, but I just because I do feel quite strongly about this, that the person's life is so important to talk about and not just be, that's it, they're gone. So yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
on that note. I just had to say it while I had the opportunity, because I don't know how you can't get it out there. It's very difficult. It's not something you advertise, is it? Because people don't think about these things until, of course, you've had a bereavement. Someone's passed, which is understandable.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. And people really should be talking about what you're going to do, when someone passes. Me and my mum, my sister, we've all talked about, we all know what's happening, how we're going to do it. There's nothing wrong with talking about where things are going. So on that note, as you know, I read oracle cards and do mini guide meditations, and I'm getting the urge to do I normally ask my guests, but I'm getting an urge to do a card today.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a card for both you, Sue, and everyone watching. And I know that we've had Mel here. Hi, Mel.
Mel.
And
Debbie.
Debbie's been here as well. And Jodie Claire from earlier did say earlier, well, I didn't know that. And I forget what part of the conversation. That was right at the beginning of the
Yeah.
conversation. So as you know, as most people know, when I do the cards for what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. Because even though I work with past life regression, when I take people to the past, it's so they can learn, heal, and grow from that, so it doesn't affect them in the present. When I take people into the future, it's so they can see, know, understand what lies in the future, how they can make changes, what they can do, so when they come back, they don't stress about it and they can be in the present. So what does Sue and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good this moment in time? What does Sue and everyone who's watching this to know for their highest good? Okay, we'll go with that one. And before we do that, that's it. Yes, it was when you were talking about astral
Yeah.
travel that Jay didn't know that. So a good bit of information. So the card that came out, which, as always, when they do this, is absolutely perfect for what we've been talking about. Answering the call, the time is now.
Yes.
What more can we say to that? For you, Sue, it is, with everything you're doing, and especially about the celebrant, you're answering the call. The time is now for you to be out there sharing all this information. And for everyone who's watching, what call are you being given that you need now to step up and share your gifts, your talents, your experience, your energy, your unconditional love with the world? Now is the time for you to step up and do that. So answer that call, because it's so important that you do that now. So, Sue, do you have any final thoughts or last words of wisdom to leave our viewers with?
Well, we all want peace. So peace is not found by changing your life, but by accepting the moment exactly as it is. The same as your card, really. It's just trusting everything that everyone is in the right place at the right time. And we don't always see the bigger picture until later. And on our own self discovery, when we're searching, stop searching outside. Everything you're looking for is already inside of you. You already have the knowledge. You just need to tap into it. You do need to create the space to do it, though. And on your journey in this life, be gentle with your journey. The goal is not perfection, but simply to be your true self. If it comes from your heart, it is never, ever wrong.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone you've enjoyed this conversation, found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Sue, how do they do that? And do you have anything coming up or any free gifts offers you'd like to share?
Well, there's my website, which is facelife.com. I do psychic workshops, as I say, beginners psychic workshops as well. So anybody who's interested in attending it, it's always in a relaxed environment. Everyone's in the same boat. There's no judgment, there's no ego, and there's no competitiveness. I don't have any of that in any of my circles. I do run circles on a Wednesday morning at home, and I run an online circle on a Sunday evening. It's fortnightly. So again, it's all varied levels, but everyone's encouraging. And until you try it, how are you going to know? And I'm always there to guide you. I'll get you connected to spirit straight away, because it is easy, it is simple. As soon as you take your own thinking out of it and stop searching, it's amazing how you can connect. It really is. So, or Messenger on Facebook, you can message me on that. Or, as I say, my phone number's on my website as well. So yeah, I'm here. Or if anyone has any problems that they're struggling with in life and they need some advice, I'm happy to do that as well. Because again, this is where philosophy comes in, where we can look at things in a different way that would help us have an understanding and see look at the other side of things really as well. So yeah, so I'm here.
Excellent. And I'll put links for you to connect with
Lovely. Yeah, thank
in
you.
the comments. So thank you so much again, Sue, for sharing your journey and your wisdom. It's been an absolute pleasure and inspiring conversation. And thank you to everyone so much for joining us today and taking the time to actually comment. And of course, if you'd like to deepen your connection with the angels, then you'll find my free 5-day angel connection journey linked in the description. And there you'll also find details about the Angel Wings membership and Soul Path Discovery program if you feel called to explore them further. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'll love the other conversations I have in the Angels and Destiny playlist, it's filled with guidance, healing, and inspiring stories, support you on your spiritual journey. So check out my other shows. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please don't forget to subscribe, click that bell button, and share this video with anyone who might need a little bit of angelic guidance today. And Karen says, well done, Sue, great podcast. And Mel says, very true, Sue. And Jodie says, thank you. And again, thank you to everyone who's joined in the conversation. And remember, you are never alone on your path. The angels are always with you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.